getting all my stuff together to get back on the road this morning, heading to Lima for Sunday morning. And I was thinking I don't have a show on Fridays, and I didn't want to wait until Monday to finish off this gender deception, the second part of the gender deception. So we're going to finish that off today. We're going to finish off that PowerPoint. And I did want to go back to a definition that I touched on yesterday, because there was a reason I touched on it and I didn't remember until this morning. So I met a young man a while back, and I said, and we said something about gender, and he said, I'm cisgender. I said, well, what's that mean? And he says, it means that the doctor assigned me male at birth, and I identify as male. That's because you're a man. That's why you identify as a male, because you're a male. So we don't have to go back to that definition, because that basically says what it is. They say that their sex and gender are two different things, and we know that that is a lie from the pit of hell. Good morning, Charlotte. So we're going to jump into this gender deception. This will be part 2. It's 5:30 a.m. here. I am up early. I've been up since 4:30, and I just didn't want to wait till Monday to finish off that PowerPoint. And since I don't do a show on Friday, I figured might as well just do a little quick show early morning. Everyone can see it whenever they get to it. Demisexual. A person who is demisexual only experiences sexual attraction once a strong emotional bond has been formed. Again, see, this one just kind of denotes the gray sexual. Was it rarely experiences sexual attraction to any gender? Polysexual is attracted to more than 2 genders. So demisexual, I think, is where we left off. Yes, we left off yesterday with demisexual. So we've already discussed that the person that experiences sexual attraction once a strong emotional bond has been formed, that's because they're trying to teach children that if they have a draw towards something, that they're attracted to it. See, they're trying to get rid of that God-given, programmed desire for intimacy. We all have, it's part of our nature, it's part of our character. We cannot change it. We can misidentify it. We can drown it out. We can dress it up. We can even deny it. But that doesn't change the truth that it's still there and it remains. Non-binary. I always found this one to be really interesting. It says a person who is non-binary identifies as a gender that is not male or female. There is no other gender outside of male or female. This is, I mean, what do you even say? The pronouns that they use, they, them, Z and Zer. Yeah, two totally new made up words. Mm. And just in the definition alone, it cancels out just the idea that there isn't. Okay, see, now I'm getting myself. Maybe it's too early for me to be doing a show, but this implies that there's more than two genders. Okay, we can see that, but it automatically implies it without explaining it or trying to tell you why or how. It's just always that there are, but it doesn't say why or how. Polyamory. A polyamorous relationship involves more than two people with fully consensual romantic involvement. See, again, if something is identified as an attraction, it has to become sexual and or romantic. The LGBT movement has been trying to destroy the natural family unit for years. It was part of their agenda. They actually put it in black and white in their 1970, I think their 1970s. I'll have to pull that up. But they put it in their state and federal demands that they wanted the natural family to be considered not just one man and one woman. And so we know that that is the natural family. There is nothing outside of one man and one woman because a male and a female are set apart. They come together, they become one flesh. Two men cannot become one flesh. Two women cannot become one flesh. Gender fluid. So this implies that there's a gender spectrum. So in this idea, we need to address the confusion and the brokenness. They think that a gender fluid person changes the gender they identify as throughout the gender spectrum. Their gender identity at any given time can be a binary or non-binary gender. When your little boy comes home and says he feels like a little girl, ask him what a little girl feels like. Because he don't know. He can't know. He could never possibly know what a little girl feels like because he's never been a little girl. Queer. Queer is an umbrella term for all sexual and gender minorities. Oh, we are heterosexual by design. Let me see if I can get back to my screen. We are heterosexual by design. I can't say this enough. Somebody said to me one time, they said, well, David, statistics, I can't stand statistics and polls because they're all biased, no matter who does them. So this person says, hey, statistically speaking, all more heterosexual people are pedophiles. I said, if we really think about that, all pedophiles are heterosexual. All homosexuals are heterosexual. All liars are heterosexual. All adulterers are heterosexual. All murderers are heterosexual because we are all heterosexual by design. There's nothing outside of it. There is no spectrum of it. There is no levels of it. It is by design. So, because we misidentify our natural God given desire for intimacy, we call it an attraction that doesn't make it so. Like I say all the time, you could put lipstick on a pig and call it anything you want, but it's still a pig. That's the truth. Those bearded men can put on all the makeup and wigs they want and dresses and go sit in the library, but it doesn't change the fact that they are male, that they are men. Let me get back to this PowerPoint. Gender queer. Yeah, go figure. Gender queer is an umbrella term for all people who identify as genders outside the binary. Gender queer literally means gender odd gender. So that would also imply that God made a mistake. That the holy, infallible, inerrant Bible is wrong. You see, heterosexual never needed to be mentioned in the scriptures because it was all that is. There was nothing else. There is nothing outside of it. So it did not need to be addressed. It's just what is. The same reason you don't see all these different genders, because male and female are all that are. There's nothing outside of it. You can't change that. You can say it as many times as you want. It doesn't make it so. People with non-binary genders can use a variety of different personal pronouns, such as they, them, ze, and her. Seems like they all use the same pronouns to me because they're all made up words, because they're all confused and they're all broken and they all need Jesus. See, all of these terms take us to one place. All of these made up genders take us to one place. Take us to intimacy. A woman misidentifies her draw as an attraction. Can't seem to satisfy that desire for intimacy because she's misidentified it. Ends up sleeping with men or women or both or everybody, anybody. Pregnancy after pregnancy, abortion after abortion. Men, they can't seem to they can't seem to find fulfillment in their wife because they're looking to their wife to fulfill their desire for intimacy, which they have misidentified. They don't even understand it. And so because their wife can't satisfy that something in them, they cheat on their wife, or they leave their wife, or they go try men. And it's a downward spiral. Every single thing, as all of us, every single one of us have misidentified our desire for intimacy. Men think they're intimate with their wife. Most people think intimacy is sex. This is how we've all played a part. We've all been bamboozled. Intimacy is close familiarity or fellowship. It's a nearness in friendship. You know what the definition now says? It's an intimate act, especially sexual intercourse. Well, of course it does. You go to the mall, what do you see? Intimate apparel. Intimacy. Into me, see. If you can see into me, we can be intimate. And that's what it takes. It takes each one of us being able to see into each other. See, one thing we don't realize is we're all running around here talking about we have a personal relationship with Jesus. Everyone's running around saying, I have a personal relationship with Jesus. Guess what? You don't have a personal, well, first of all, if you have a personal relationship with your Jesus, then come out from our people, you're guilty of idolatry. Because we don't have a personal relationship with Jesus. It's no longer personal. It stopped being personal the moment you surrendered to Jesus. It became one very small part of a whole. One very small part of a great big body. One teeny tiny atom of zillions and zillions of cells and atoms and billions and whatever. That's when it stopped being personal. No longer about you. Now it's all about the fact that the scriptures say that we belong one to another. So if we belong one to another, it's no longer personal. We don't have a personal relationship with Jesus. Please understand that. It sounds good, feels good, but it's a lie. It's a deception from the enemy. There's a whole lot of things out there that the enemy has implanted into our culture and our society and our minds, our lives, that we automatically listen to, we fall for it, we're duped, we're bamboozled, we're tricked, we're fooled. We've been deceived, indoctrinated, brainwashed. But it's okay. It's okay. See, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, it sounds good, David, but yeah, that's not for me. That's on you. That's between you and the Lord. I know one thing. It took me 9 years of my walk. 10 years I've been made free. 10 years last month. And I'll tell you what, although my entire life was a lesson on intimacy, the 9 years that I was in the way, that I was walking with Yeshua, I was still misidentified. I was still brainwashed. I was still indoctrinated. I was still believing the lies like, oh, I have a personal relationship with Jesus, and oh, I'm still attracted to men, and I was still believing those lies. But piece by piece, bit by bit, he removed those things. As for the attraction, it was never an attraction to begin with, because there's no such thing as a same-sex attraction. Listen, what happens with us is we automatically believe that if we have a draw towards something, that we're attracted to it. Even when explaining it, I almost want to say, if we feel an attraction to something, if we feel a draw towards something, we automatically think that we're attracted to it. That's just not the truth. We have a built in, programmed, we're designed a certain way. I can't say it enough. I can say it every day. And I guarantee you there are still people who call intimacy sex or sex intimacy, that there are still people who think that they're attracted to men. There's hmm. So why is it so important that we understand intimacy? Because intimacy has been under attack since God and Adam had an intimate relationship in the garden. Because David and Jonathan are likened to homosexuals instead of two men of God that shared a bond of familiarity. Because intimacy for men goes hand in hand with masculinity. See, I did a Google search, David Jonathan intimate, and there was only one of the results that said they had no sexual involvement. The rest of them likened David and Jonathan to be lovers. Men of God are created to be. We are meant to be, and we must be so secure in our own masculinity that we can be intimate with other men. It's detrimental to your growth, you know. It could save your child or your grandchild. Oh, well, David, the church has been doing just fine without this intimacy. Well, guess what? Obviously, the church hasn't, because half the church is asleep. The other half is confused. Nobody's willing to stand up. David can't get into a congregation to bring some truth or even to bring a witness because everybody's frightened of the truth, even Christians. So I am not going to keep y'all any longer. It's been over 20 minutes, so I figured I'd do a little surprise show to this morning just so I could get the second half out there because I didn't want to wait till Monday to bring it. And Monday morning I'll be on the road, so depending on where I'm at, who knows what I'll be talking about or if I'll be on. So you have a blessed weekend. Please keep me in your prayers as I'm traveling to Lima today and early Monday morning I'll be getting on the road, heading home. It's been 2 long weeks and I know it. So thanks. I love you guys. Have a blessed weekend. Peace.